Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, good morning to another U.S. market open. Lots of news to talk about, of course. Russia has captured Ukraine's nuclear power plant. In fact, this is the largest one in Europe. And of course, there are ramifications for this. The markets are uneasy. Also, there's some good news. U.S. markets, even though red, job report was pretty good, and there's a few other things I want to talk about. So let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell. 3 streams almost every day, but today's Friday, so only 2. But you know what? 3 on most days. Make sure you follow me on social media and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Bitcoin is down a little bit more, 41.1. You can see that it is now holding right at this previous support. So let's see if Bitcoin can hold. It's down about 3% today. Overall futures market is red, not that nasty yet because job reports came out and it was positive. So that helped carry things up a little bit. But let's see what happens after the bell rings and market opens, because it can get pretty nasty. So, I mean, right now, the big thing that everyone's talking about is, the nuclear power plant being captured. I covered this yesterday. But the power plant in Zaporizhzhia in Ukraine, there was some fears yesterday because there was a lot of shelling in the area, and part of it caught on fire last night. And of course, no one wants a nuclear meltdown. No one wants radiation because that's just going to be bad for everyone, right? So there was a lot of fear over that last night. That's when futures just dumped. And, luckily, it's been put out. But, there was a lot of, again, anytime you hear about this, there's people that's spreading FUD. Yesterday when I was streaming about this, people were like, oh, it's just a bunch of people just like, burning a few canisters or something, or making this look like it's worse than it is. No, now you look at it, this building right in front of it was, it's pretty burnt up. Right, and there are several people that were killed in this fight, and unfortunately, it's been captured by the Russians. All right, so Russia now controls this nuclear power plant. There's reports coming out that employees are working around the clock to make sure that the cooling system is okay. Everything at the power plant is okay, but unfortunately, they're forced to work at gunpoint at this point, right? So it's not a good thing. Not a good thing overall, but it does seem like things have stabilized there. But Zelensky, is calling for NATO action, saying this is war crimes, right? You can't do this, calling for NATO to do something about it. But NATO this morning clarified that we are not part of this. We're not going to be sending troops. We're not going to be declaring a no-fly zone. So basically, NATO's like, we'll continue to support your cause, but we're not going to intervene in any direct manner because they believe it will get worse. It will get worse if they do, because then that's basically leading on to World War III, right? So, and no one wants that right now. No one wants that. So that's the latest with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Of course, the war continues on. There's no end in sight right now. The 40-mile convoy seems to still be holding outside of Kyiv for whatever reason. It hasn't really entered the city or any cities. So not sure why that is, but in the meantime, we're just all waiting to see what happens, right? Ceasefire talks happened yesterday. There was just a mutual agreement that there'll be corridors for supply replenishing and to to do whatever else they need to, but that was it. There was no real talks about true ceasefire, right? So, yeah, that's what's going on. And of course, Russians, you know, the oligarchs especially, they are starting to panic. So all the sanctions that have been placed, well, it's having effect on oligarchs. So here's one. One of the richest ones out there, Roman, I can't pronounce that last name. This Russian billionaire that owns the Chelsea soccer club is selling it for $4 billion and just basically selling off everything else he can right now, right? So oligarchs around the world, they don't want their assets and their money to be frozen. So they are doing what they can to sell what they can to capture whatever money they can at this point. So it is definitely having an effect on the oligarchs, at least the sanctions are, right? And this is done on purpose to force these guys, and some of these guys are friendly with Putin, to kind of force them to tell Putin to back down. And here's one too. Russia's second biggest oil company, Lukoil, is calling for an end to Putin's war. And this is surprising, right? This is the second largest oil company. They employ over 100,000 people. In fact, some of their gas stations are still operating in the U.S., in New York and several other states on the East Coast. So they're even calling for an end to the war because they're being cut off soon, right? And their gas station's probably not receiving much business these days. And this will probably continue. All the oil companies themselves, they'll probably call for an end of the war, probably not going to get Putin to change his mind. But when you have all these guys, coming together and saying, we don't want the war, it's not good for anyone, especially financially, right? Maybe it gets Putin to think that, you know, gotta back down, right? But again, I've been arguing that the people that are hurting the most, Ukrainians, okay, and second is the Russians, not Putin, Russians, because again, businesses are crumbling, financial markets are devastated, ruble has been decimated too, right? And well, no one's going to shed a tear for the oligarchs that are losing, but they are losing as well. And it is not just them, it's not just oil companies. Here's a story about Yandex, which is the Google of Russia. And they warned that they may not be able to pay their debts because of all the financial sanctions that has happened. So that's quite interesting. So Yandex actually operates in they're traded on the New York Stock Exchange and the Russian exchange, when the Russian exchange is closed right now. But in New York Stock Exchange, they're down 70% year to date, and this will continue to go down, right? They are basically struggling. So pretty soon, if they close their doors, then the people of Russia can't even search for anything on their search engine. So, you know, bottom line is the companies and people are really getting hammered right now, but not Putin himself. So I don't know if any of these things are really going to change his mind, but any company or person, corporation, whatever, oligarchs that are residing within Russia, they're feeling it. They're feeling it. So that's the update on the Ukraine and Russia situation. Now markets are about to open, mostly like in red. Couple other things. You know, the U.S. job market is still very strong. So there's a job report that came out this morning, and it was very positive, very, very positive. The economy added 678,000 jobs last month, way above the 440,000 estimate. And January also got revised upwards too. So this is in line with basically the ADP report that came out a few weeks ago. Bottom line is, in terms of the labor market, it's very, very strong. Very, very strong. And this is definitely go way in on Powell's decision going forward, even though he's testified twice in front of Senate and the House. And basically he's like, well, rates will happen, 25 basis points in March, most likely, right? But it does seem like everyone after that, every meeting they will have after that will include a rate hike and probably be 25 basis points on all of them. So people are estimating that by the end of 2022, the rates will probably go up close to 2%. Anywhere from 1.75 to 2% is the latest estimate. So it will still add up, right? And that's because labor force is strong. The economy is looking strong at this point, and he's going to do what he can to curb inflation. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So, I mean, that helped bring futures up a little bit. We're about to do market bell. I'm just gonna do it at a time. All right, what else is up? Well, oil is up. You can see oil is at 111, and this will probably continue to go up. And we haven't even seen any sanctions against oil that's being exported out of Russia and being bought, right? That's probably going to happen. That's going to happen. When that happens, oil prices are going to go even higher. And there's already some analysts calling for $150, $175 per a barrel of oil, right? There we go. Now it just opened. Yeah, it's about right. And then as for Bitcoin, let's see. Bitcoin is still flat. So I mean, unfortunately, yesterday Bitcoin was doing well, holding around 44,000 for basically a week, then started coming down because of again what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Ukraine. Just a lot of fear right now, right? There's just a lot of fear going on right now. However, there are good news. For example, the active supply for Bitcoin reaches a yearly high. So why is that good? Well, according to this, the last 2 times Bitcoin had become this active with trading, with volume, was when we had a black swan event back in 2020, when people were panic selling, right? And guess what happened after that? Things came up pretty quickly. Right now, it's most likely because of Russians and Ukrainians that are buying, right? Especially as the SWIFT banning, I should say, is coming. SWIFT banning is, I think, the 14th. So there's still about 10 days left. So if you look at this, the activity of Bitcoin has been soaring, right? And it will probably continue to soar. And I've been saying Bitcoin is the answer for a lot of the problems that people are facing around the world these days, right? And so many are turning to Bitcoin. And the volume of Bitcoin is definitely going up because of people just trying to, protect their wealth, protect their assets, right? So the active usage of Bitcoin is going up and skyrocketing. And, I'll skip that one. That one just relates to this. And Coinbase, came out, and Brian Armstrong came out and said, you know what, we're not going to ban Russians from our exchange. Mostly for the same reason, because he recognizes that a lot of Russians want to utilize Bitcoin to protect their wealth, right? What else are they going to do? All their investments have been decimated, destroyed by all the sanctions, so they're turning to Bitcoin. So Brian's like, you know what, I'm not going to ban all the Russians from the exchanges. It's unlikely that the oligarchs will be using Coinbase to be buying Bitcoin to circumvent sanctions. It's most likely the retail investors, right? So he is staying open. Binance is also staying open, except Binance is shutting down credit cards from sanctioned banks, but overall for users, they are still open, and Coinbase is maintaining the same stance too. What else is there? Marathon Digital Holding, which is one of the biggest Bitcoin miners in North America. They're basically saying, you know what, we're going to be ramping up our mining tremendously. okay? Tremendously. Look at this right now. They are right here, okay? The farthest black I don't even know what to call it, candlestick. I don't know if that's, yeah. But they're around what, four exahash right now, but it's about to increase dramatically by mid 2022, which is only like 3 months. So they pretty much go 4x their output in terms of their hash rate. And then by the end of the 2022, going to early 2023, they go double once again. Okay, and they're not alone. So what does this say? Bitcoin miners, they're in it for long haul. Okay, they're not going away. In fact, they're increasing their mining by a substantial amount within the next few months, right? So Bitcoin's network is definitely healthy, and it's going to get healthier. And you know what? Bitcoin is being spotlighted right now, right? Around the world. So not only as a great store of value, but also having the greatest payment network out there. What else is there? There was a Mobile World Congress kind of show. So apparently there was a lot of metaverse stuff being shown, but it's controversial because most of the metaverse stuff that was displayed or demoed was just basically VR kind of stuff, VR, AR kind of stuff. It really had nothing to do with crypto. So I guess there's a confusion there. What is officially a metaverse? Is it a crypto related thing? You have to have crypto related involved? I guess the answer is no. There's metaverses have been around for quite some time, right? But now we're seeing crypto and NFT get involved. So I guess, that's where the confusion comes in. And lastly, the SEC, our friend Gary Gensler, is starting to look at the NFT market as well. He looked at the ICOs, right? And went after all the companies that did a legal security sell of their token, right? He's looking at the same thing with NFTs. NFTs right now, people are just doing whatever they want and basically raising a whole bunch of money. So in some cases for good causes, like Ukraine is also selling NFTs. But Gary's gonna make sure that bad actors don't just move to NFT and take advantage of investors. So people that are selling NFTs, better watch out. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's see if the markets have moved anymore. About the same. The Dow is down more than NASDAQ this morning. Let's see here. The Van Eyck Russia ETF continues to go down. $25, and this was back mid-February, went from $25 down to $5. And this will continue to go on. If the Russian stock exchange was open, this would be what it'll be equivalent to what would be happening. Okay, this is the reason why Russia, their central bank, just shut down the stock market, because if it was open, everything would sell off like this, and you could see that it's just brutal. It's just brutal. Michael, I rang the opening bell like 1 minute early. Antonius Caesar Maximus Dex. I appreciate that. That's a mouthful. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right. Scrolling through here. Kevin, I agree with what you're saying. I'm looking at the chat. A lot of people saying, George, don't believe in the Western propaganda. These are the same people that said, George, Russia would never invade Ukraine. Oh, it's all made up by the U.S. Biden's making up everything. They're not about to attack. They're not going to attack after Olympics. It's like, come on, okay? You have intelligence from all these nations that's saying that invasion was going to happen. It did. People are still trying to spread FUD about, how somehow this is a good thing for Russia, right? And how this is a good thing for Ukraine. How the invasion is going to be good for everyone. No, it's not. It's not. So don't spread that don't spread that FUD in this chat. I mean, I get, I've been hearing about why why Putin wanted this war. It kind of makes sense. To defend themselves against NATO, right? I get that. Because if Ukraine was applying for NATO membership and they get it, well, NATO get to put their forces right at the border of Moscow, which is only like 200 miles away, right? So I get that. I get why Putin didn't like that. And he may have been forced into this situation. But what's going on in Ukraine right now with people dying and over 1 million people that had to leave their homes and they had to find shelter elsewhere, right? That's not a good thing. You can't just say, you can't brush it off and say that's okay, that's fine. It sucks. And I'm glad that I'm not in this situation. And I hope I'm never in that situation, right? And I think most of you guys can agree with that. Do you own the Graph or Curve DAO? Neither. I don't like Curve. I'm neutral on Curve. I like Graph, but I just don't own them right now. But I think they're essential for API creation. Since Adrian says, since Putin is ready to damage civilian infrastructure, lay waste to city centers, I fear this may be a long-term conflict. No, you know what? I read something that makes a whole lot of sense. The fact that he's ready to damage civilian infrastructure and lay waste means that he wants to make it a short-term conflict. Basically, maybe he was pulling his punches, it seemed like, to some extent. He wanted it so that he could pull his punches, still invade and take over quickly. Obviously, that's not happening. So pretty soon, he's not going to be pulling his punches. He wants it to be over quickly, right? The longer it goes, the more economic damage that Russia faces. So he may be getting ready to just end it really quickly, right? And that, I think, may be coming, which is why that 40-mile convoy is still sitting outside of Kyiv. If that 40-mile convoy comes into the city and Kharkov and every other country there, every other city in Ukraine, it's gonna be over. There's no stopping that. So I think he wants to end it soon, and he's still trying to pull his punches. Let's see. Ukraine asks ICANN to turn off DNS and SSL to Russia. That's not going to happen. It's just like, Ukraine asking NATO to play a bigger part in this. NATO's like, no, we can't. You're not a NATO nation. We can't just send troops. We can't just restrict the fly zone. Even though Biden made it so that It's no fly zone for Russian planes above the U.S., but NATO is not ready to do the same thing across Europe. Let's see. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not moving. Let's see the rest of the crypto market. Let's see if there's any positives from today. Well, not really. Everything's down about, other than stable coins, everything's down about, 2, 3, 4, some 7%. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Ethereum is selling off right now. Selling off harder than most. Solana selling off quite a lot. Terra is still holding very strong. XRP is holding stronger. Hey, you got Cosmos in the green. That's positive. And a few others that's holding relatively well. Near Protocol is doing okay. Actually just flipped to the green. So, yeah. Wow. The Van Eyck Russia ETF trading was just halted because there's so much. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's bad. But yeah, it got halted because of basically everyone wants to dump that to basically to zero. That's what's happening. And Dow is getting a little bit worse. Talk about Luna will break all-time high, yes, but not when the entire market is coming down. But Luna hit really, it was close, $93 from 103, so they were really close, and they're holding stronger today. Will they come back and break their all-time high? Yeah, they will. They will. The fact that allies have not done drone strikes on the 40 mile, they can't, Rich. They can't. Of course they can. If they intervene, then that's the start of World War III. That's why they can't do that. If Ukraine was part of NATO, it would be a different story, but they're not. The whole, what really started this was because Ukraine wanted to become a NATO nation. And unfortunately, Putin felt like that was a real risk. Double caffeine. As for my energy levels, I've been trying to sleep earlier, so I could get my energy levels. I'm trying to, I'm also on intermittent fasting. So I think that's affecting my energy a little bit in the morning, but trying to cut down some weight, and it has been doing pretty well on that front. But yeah, at night, I resort to Red Bull because I just have no more energy at night. The global elites love war. There are many that take advantage. I'm sure there's many that take advantage. Let's see. Do I DCA twice a week? No, like me personally. Like the portfolio I've been showing you guys, I DCA once a week, Wednesday night. But me personally, I have so much vested already, right? So I just buy whenever I feel like it's a good buying opportunity, right? Whenever we have major dips, I take advantage, right? So that's how I do it. I don't go by schedule anymore because I just have so much already. But for anyone else that's starting out, or you're trying to build up that portfolio, you're trying to build that life-changing wealth, then, going by a schedule works. Going by schedule works. That's why I have the sample one I built with you guys. I'm going to continue at it, keep going at it, and we'll look at it in a few years. And we'll see the effect, right? No, I drink the Diet Red Bull, so it has no calories. 0 calories. GCOD Jedi. You're one of the only media outlets that correctly say the geopolitical issue with Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm not the most knowledgeable guy in this space, but I'm trying to catch up, trying to take in all information and give you my analysis of it. I may be wrong, but you know, how it relates to markets is definitely real. Despite what your views are, whether, you know, whether this is propaganda or it's good for the US or good for NATO or good for elitists, whatever it may be, but it's definitely having an effect on the market. So it's important to, I think it's important to cover and pay attention to it. Don't drink energy drinks. Why are you guys so against energy drinks? So okay. Here. I know it's not good. That's why I don't drink it all the time. But Red Bull, sugar-free, 10 calories, okay? Not like crazy sugar, but it's probably using fake sugar. Has a lot of sodium, but low carbs too, so. In case people are really against Red Bull in this stream. All right, anything else? Moonbeam doing very well. I like Moonbeam. I've said I like Moonbeam. Red Bull is a murder on the run. Where do people get all this stuff? I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. There's just so much false news everywhere. But anyways. Okay, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, you know what? You can see Bitcoin is down a little bit. It's trying to utilize this 40,006 as a support. Looks like it just bounced off of there. Let's see if we can hold right there. U.S. markets are not that good right now, but holding. NASDAQ got a little bit weaker. But overall, people are just, you know, not sure how to make of the situation, right? The U.S. market is less dependent on what's going on in Europe than, of course, the European markets, which you can see is in total devastation right now. I mean, 3-4% down. I mean, it's crazy, right? So we're definitely not going down nearly as much. However, you know, it's a global market. Everything's connected. You know, that's what we're seeing. And the latest news is that Europe's largest nuclear plant has been captured. But sanctions are still being placed. Many people feel it. Many companies feel it. Many oligarchs feel it. Is it going to have an effect? Is it going to have effect at all? Don't know at this point. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in a few hours, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.